This is Studio 809.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Outdoors with Hiking Bob podcast. I am your host, Hiking Bob Falcone, and you can find me and my social media, all my other stuff, podcasts, columns at The Independent, all that kind of stuff at hikingbob.com. And also, we'd like to make a shout out to our Patreon patron to help us support this podcast. And if you'd like to help support this podcast and help us pay the bills and stuff like that, you can do that at patreon.com/hikingbob, patreon.com/hikingbob. We got a couple different topics today, and with me to discuss all that stuff is Wild Westendorf.
Hey everyone, it's Wild Westendorf here, and you can find me on my website, wildwestendorf.com, and on social media, primarily Facebook and Instagram, at Wild Westendorf.
Cool. Glad to have you, Kevin. It's I think we can say that summer's finally here. Temperatures have been pretty warm. It's been in the 80s, 90s. Thunderstorms, or at least you can hear thunder in the afternoon. Cole and I went hiking in the Pineries open space. What day was that? It been Saturday, and it's a 9-mile loop, and a lot of that's very exposed. You're out in the open, and Cole's getting to the point where 9 miles, even on a fairly easy hike like that one, it's a little much for him, especially in the sun.
Oh yeah.
So I do this one little hike where I go counterclockwise from the trailhead on the loop, and I go about 3-ish miles out to a place called the CCC Dam, the Civilian Conservation Corps Dam, and it's really just a mound of dirt that crosses where this used to be a creek at one point, and that's a good turnaround spot. And it's in and a lot of that, when you do that, is in the shade. There's a section there that's open, but most of it's in shade and under trees. So of course we go out there. We don't get out there till the afternoon. We get out there. We don't really hear any thunder that's really close by. And I know about thunder and be careful, but this is way distant thunder. But it's windy and stuff, and I'm thinking, well, we might get rained on. So sure enough, it rains a little bit. I'm not worried about it. We keep moving. Then as we get to the dam, we're ready to turn around. It starts to rain pretty good. So I stop, take my rain jacket out, put it on, everything. Cole's getting wet, but he's a dog, and he's got 2 coats of fur.
Yeah.
And what happens? I put the rain jacket on. We start hiking back. 2 minutes later, the rain stops, the sun comes out. And I got this jacket on, which, of course, what does a rain jacket do? It traps moisture, traps heat.
Exactly.
Now I'm getting hot, and I got to stop, take the thing off.
And it turns into a sauna.
Come on, and that happens out here. But you got to have your gear. You got to be safe. This time of the year, we're going to go from hot to rainy and cold, wet rain. That's the thing out here. We're at high altitude. The rain here is cold. It's not even really refreshing. It's just flat out cold water because we're so high. It doesn't have time to get to friction to heat it up or whatever it is. I don't know. So when you're out here, and a word to the wise for people coming out here to visit, you need rain gear. And don't think that when if it's a hot day and you may be used to we get some rain, it's refreshing. Here it can make you cold, and you can get hypothermic in August and July or June, and when you get rained on. So having the rain gear, and I've got this nice rain jacket that's packable, so it basically stuffs into its own pocket, so it takes up not much space, and is always rainy. It dries off really quick. By the time I got back to the car, it was dry, and I just packed it back up and stuck it back in my pack. But let's keep an eye on that. And the other thing too is heat. We had somebody die on the western slope. There were a couple issues there. It was hot. Let's not lose sight of the fact that it was hot. But they were on a bike trail that's a 30-mile bike trail.
Yeah.
Apparently did not have the recommended amount of water. Can't stress enough, you need plenty of water, especially when you're going to be on something that's 30 miles long. And you could almost not carry enough water if you're doing. Now, they're on a bike ride, so it obviously doesn't take as long as hiking. And doing 30 miles in a day is really, really, really difficult. But it would almost be difficult to carry enough water that they recommend for an outing of that long, of that distance. So just keep these things in mind. There's really no reason for anybody to die hiking, cycling, unless you fail to follow some basic guidelines. And I'll touch on one more safety issue, the other part of that being boating. Can we all please wear your life vests? We've had a number of fatalities. It's pretty shocking how many fatalities we've had in boating accidents.
In just the last 2 weeks. It's wild.
And none of those people who died were wearing their life vest. They weren't hit by another boat or anything like that. They, were either swamped in stormy weather, which we just talked about. Storms comes through and they get knocked out of the boat. I believe, or would not be surprised if in some cases alcohol played a factor in that. Maybe we should keep the drinking down till the end of the day when you're done boating, and then you want to go right into your tent or your camper and go to sleep. But the factor remains that almost every one of these that have died have been because they were not wearing their life vest. And I know that the rules are pretty much you have to have the life vest with you, and kids have to wear them. Adults can have them just handy nearby. But you know what? When you get thrown out of your boat, if you're like me, I can't swim. I'm not gonna put the thing in there and think I'm gonna get it on. I'm sinking like a rock. So, so you need to have that. Just put the thing on. Is it uncomfortable? Yes. Is it awkward? Yes. Is it a pain in the neck? Yes. Is it gonna save your life? Also, yes.
Which is worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, folks, it's summertime. We all want to go out and have a good time. Let's remember lightning safety, especially when you're out here and you're doing a 14er, you're above tree line, typically around 12,000 feet. Lightning is dangerous out there. There's a chance of lightning from noon on. There's a chance that you're going to be in lightning. We don't want anybody getting hurt out there. All of this is fun. We all like doing these activities, hiking, cycling, rock climbing, mountaineering, you name it, we like doing it. Everyone who listens to this likes doing it. Everyone who reads the column likes doing this. We all like doing this. I think we can also agree that while we're willing to take some risks, we're willing to put ourselves out, exertion, be physically demanding, all that's great. That's what makes this fun. None of this, absolutely none of this, and there's no exceptions, is worth dying over.
Exactly. Yep.
There's no, we've talked about this before, there's no brownie points for having to be rescued, and there's certainly nothing to brag about or nothing good about anybody dying doing this stuff. Now, are there accidents? Yes. We're not talking about just accidents. We're talking about not being prepared. We're talking about not paying attention to the weather, and we're talking about not turning around when the weather looks bad. Maybe it's time for us to get out of here. That's the kind of things we're talking about. None of this is worth dying for. So let's keep an eye on it. I don't want to know. I don't want to find out that the next person I read about in the newspaper, the next person I hear about on a TV story is somebody I knew. That would just crush me. So let's not let that happen.
And plus, that's always my biggest fear, because I have a ton of friends who are very, very active in the outdoors. So anytime I hear of any accident or death on the trails, it takes me a moment to do I want to find out who?
There was a time a few years ago, and we're going to go off the topic here just a little bit. A friend of mine's a private pilot, and he was part owner of a small plane with another guy, and he had since moved away. My friend had since moved away from the area, but still kept contact. And then one day, I read about a plane crash, and I'm looking at it, and I recognize the name. And it was my friend's partner on the plane, and I called him and said, "Is this who I think it is?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Well, I got some bad news for you," and it's crushing to get that. So
that's so scary.
Yeah. So let's folks. I get that. After a day of having fun, you want to have a beer. We have tremendous microbrews that you can either visit or you can buy their stuff. I get it. Maybe during the day when it's 90 degrees and you're going to be out on the water is not the time for the beer. Maybe when you're done for the day and you're going to sit around the barbecue and you're making dinner and you're not going to go out any place till the next morning, that's maybe the time for the beer. Let's just keep the alcohol. And I'm not a prude. You know me, Kevin. I got alcohol in the fridge. I've got some nice bourbons here. I'm not a prude, but you'll never see me out there drinking when I'm out on a hike or anything like that. That's just not the time for it. Alcohol does play a factor in some of these unfortunate, I shouldn't say some of these, it does play a factor in many, many incidents that happen around the country. And that's something that's very easy to avoid. Just don't do it until you're done for the day. And
especially, even if you're not actively getting drunk or anything, I was reminded when I have volunteered at a beer fest 2 weekends ago, and it was 93 degrees out, and even though I was in the shade, just have a sip of beer here and there, it just makes you very tired.
Yep.
It slows you down. It wears you out, and so I can imagine if you're on a boat and it's really hot out and stuff, it just makes you tired, which makes it harder to swim if the boat tips over.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, just folks, we just don't want anything bad to happen to anybody out there. It's not worth it. Just be careful. And we want everybody who starts the summer here to also be here at Labor Day when the summer is winding down.
Yep.
I don't think that's a whole lot to ask. So, Kevin, I mentioned a hike I did. I did another hike over the weekend over in Mueller State Park, checking on wildflowers, looking at conditions. Not a lot of wildflowers yet. Things are a little late getting started, but there's some there. And everything looked nice and green.
Oh, I'm loving it.
Yeah, and the aspens. Of course, Mueller's my favorite place to go in about 3 months for fall colors. The aspens are looking wonderful. So it was a nice day. It was a nice weekend for hiking. Cole and I did a hike. I went out. I can't take, dogs are not allowed on the trails in Mueller, so he had to stay home. He's still holding a grudge today. He'll get over it. And it was a good day to be out there for a hike. But you, geez, Kevin, you made your grandma hike up Pikes Peak.
Yep, I told her I was going to pick her up and we were going to go for a nice drive up there. Then we arrived at the trailhead and I told her I was kidding. We're actually going to hike up there.
None of this is true.
Yeah.
Well, I should say none of this. Most of this is not true. Kevin, what happened over the weekend?
So it's my grandma's birthday, and she had never been to the top of Pikes Peak. So I decided to take her up there as a birthday gift because I like to do birthday stuff with experiences rather than a material gift. And I tried to take her up there in 2019, but that's when we had that weirdly long winter. Yeah. And we got up to mile 16 or so, and they closed the summit because it was still really icy up there. So I've been wanting to go up there, and plus I've never driven up the peak.
Really, you never drove up there?
Nope.
It's an adventure.
I've hiked up there 3 times, but driving when you get above the tree line, it's a little terrifying. It is. Oof.
You should have done it before they paved it up there.
Oh man, no. It was just weird because it got to a point where it's I just could not see off the side of the road, and even though I could physically see, my car is on the road, it's a safe amount of distance from the drop off, and I'm going really slow and stuff. It was freaky.
You know why you couldn't see anything off the side of the road? There was nothing there.
Yeah.
Except a very long drop.
And what made it worse is that the clouds were really, really low, so it just completely shrouded the very top of the peak, and so we couldn't see anything more than 15 feet. We get to the top, and it's we can't see anything. I'm really bummed out because I thought man, I finally made it to the top after a few tries, and then we don't see anything. But I was hey, at least I get to see the summit house, because it was my first time up there since they had built that. And after about 20 minutes or so, the clouds cleared, and I could actually see down into the springs and over on the west side of the peak, and just phenomenal views, especially with the clouds being really low and they cleared. There was one side of Pikes Peak where it looked like the clouds were falling off the peak like a waterfall, and then on the other side, you could see the clouds hitting the sides of the rock walls like waves, just hitting the side and splashing up, and it was so cool.
The pictures you posted on social media of that were incredible.
Thank you.
They were you had just perfect skies, and it was blue sky with white clouds, and they were awesome pictures. They were just great. So I'm kind of glad you didn't go in 19. Because you probably may not have wanted to go back, and you would have missed the new Summit House. Yeah. Which the new Summit House, gorgeous. What did you think of the Summit House?
Oh, it's incredible. I knew it was a state-of-the-art building, and I've heard a lot of great stuff about it from friends and you too. But I really, really, really liked it. It's just designed extremely well. I thought the museum part was extremely well done. And it was nice that the dining area was much, much larger. There's a much larger gift shop. And that you have those giant windows up front to see the views without being exposed if it's too windy or cold outside. And thought they did a great job of honoring the Native American history of the mountain too, instead of just only having a focus on Pike in his travels and journeys. But saying like actually the history of this mountain goes back 1,000 years. So I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah, and I've mentioned before, but the old Summit House, which you had seen before, had all the ambiance of a World War II bomb shelter.
Oh, it was not great.
It was not great. You couldn't see anything when you were in there. Low ceilings, noisy, and it was sinking, so there was water leaks here and there, and bathrooms didn't work, and there was nothing attractive about that building. Remember, we're building a building at 14,115 feet. That's not an easy task to do. So when they built that building, I forget when it was, the 50s or whatever, the old building, that was what they could build at that elevation. Obviously, they've learned, and a lot of like the new Summit House was prefab, so they would haul these huge concrete panels up there. But yeah, the building is gorgeous. You walk in from the parking lot, and you walk in the door, and there's this 3-story glass wall in front of you, which is just incredible. And you go down the steps, and yeah, it is a really nice. Your grandma must have been just
she was
speechless.
Freaking out. I mean, she was just so excited. She had never ever experienced anything like that before, and she's like, well, that checks off an item on my bucket list. And she volunteers at my work. So this morning at work, she was telling all the other volunteers that she works with every week, like just showing off the photos to all of them, just going on and on. So so I think she had an okay time up there.
I would guess she did. How did she do with the altitude? She do okay with the altitude?
She did fine. So another thing that I really like are the walkways.
Yeah, there's no more walking on bare ground.
Yeah, and she did get winded once we walked from the Summit House to the elevation marker, but not like out of breath. Just kind of like, okay, I'm feeling it, and I loved how there's all kinds of signs that will show like, hey, if you look this way, there's Denver. If you look this way, there's this mountain and that mountain, and I thought they did a great job on that too. One
day, many, many, many years ago, I was up on top of Pikes Peak, and you mentioned being able, pointing, this is the way Denver is, pair of binoculars, you could probably see it. But we're looking out that way toward the north, and there was this gold, bright spot way off in the distance. And what it turned out was the sun reflecting off the dome of the state capitol in Denver.
Oh,
which is covered in gold leaf. And it was just the sun was catching it right. It was like a beacon. I mean, it was very noticeable, and that's what it was. It just happened to catch it, and it was, I don't know how often that happens. Probably not very often, but the sun was just right, and the angle was just right, and the clouds were not in the way, and whatever else had to line up for that all happened. And it was way cool to be able to see something like that. As part of the fundraising for that project, you talked about the elevated walkways, I think, which is just great. You're walking on a solid surface, not trying to walk on rocks and uneven ground and that kind of stuff. It's really neat. But one of the things they did was they sold planks for that walkway that people could dedicate. And they're still, and I checked on that because we bought one.
Oh, that's cool.
My wife and I bought one for that. And there's been some delays. They wanted to have it when they opened it. They're still not up there apparently. But now I've been told this fall, maybe as early as August, they'll be going in. And all those people who paid, I think it was $500 for a plank.
Oh, wow.
And we dedicated to a friend of my wife's who she's since passed. But when she would come and visit us from back east, the one place she wanted to go every time, we would always go to Pikes Peak.
Oh, that's
every
neat.
time she was here. So we dedicated a plank to her. But if you're somebody who bought one of those planks, they're coming. It's just like anything else right now. Nothing seems to be on schedule, including planks for an elevated walkway at the top of Pikes Peak.
I did make a post on Facebook and Instagram about the Summit House, and it was just more me thinking out loud how, while I was really, really amazed by the Summit House and the structure, I was also like, but it felt a little weird that there is a building up there and there's a parking lot and it's very commercial feeling. So if you get a chance, just go on my Facebook or Instagram. I made a short little post about that. I I'd love your thoughts on it too.
I'll have to check it out. I haven't seen that. Yeah, I know what you mean, but I think the issue then becomes people are going to go there anyway. So
Yeah,
why not give them an experience that, a place to go and a place to eat and a place to get shelter and go to the bathroom. I kind of know what you mean. I guess I see it. I guess the one thing, too, when people think about, the city, it's federally owned land. The city leases the summit and they lease the land that the highway is on, and they lease the area immediately around the picnic areas and the Glen Cove spot about halfway up. The rest of it's Forest Service land. But it's also what we call in Colorado, it's an enterprise.
Oh, yeah.
So there's no tax money involved in there. It's all funded by stuff you purchase at the visitor center or at the Summit House, the fees you pay to drive up there, and things like that. So that's how it's paid for. And I don't know if that makes a difference in how you feel about it. I know what you're saying, and I think one of the things though they did was how they incorporated that building into the mountain.
Yeah.
So it didn't look like somebody just plopped a big building down on, let's get a tough shed and put it up here and call it a visitor center or something like that. They didn't do that. So I know what you mean.
And on the other hand, though, I also wrote about how I think it's great up there because it allows anyone to go up there to be on top of a 14er. Like like just seeing how excited and happy my grandma was. There's no way in heck that she would ever be able to hike up there. And I did see someone up there in a wheelchair, and I was like, oh, that's really cool that they get to experience these incredible views that you're not going to see anywhere else. Because we can't make all the trails ADA compliant and such. So yeah, on the other hand, I think that's just a really cool way for those who can't just hike up. Plus, if you didn't know, Pikes Peak is a beast of a mountain to hike. It's much longer of a trail, much harder of a hike than a lot of other 14ers. And
that's the thing about this, there's only 2 14ers in the whole state you can drive up. That one and Mount Evans. And Mount Evans closes seasonally. And the exact opposite. Mount Evans is a very small summit, and there's nothing there except an old stone building.
Like a weather station or something like that?
So there's nothing there. Other than that, you can't drive to the top of any 14ers. Those are the only 2 in the state. You can probably, I'm trying to think if there's any 14ers anywhere that you can drive to, and I don't believe that there is.
Because I haven't heard of any in California, which is where the others are. And they've only got like 12. So
Mount Whitney and whatever else they have there. So it's kind of cool, like you said. Not everybody can hike a 14er, especially this one, which is the hard. We've talked about it many times. 13 miles one way to hike up it. But everybody can either drive or take the Cog Railway. Let's not forget our friends that operate the Cog Railway. That's kind of cool that they have a place up there. So I think it's kind of. I know what you're saying, but I think it's kind of cool that they've actually built that building. And it's so much. And ecologically, it is very.
I've read about that.
Better than the last one. The other one, there would be water trucks going up there every single day. But now this one, they recycle a lot of the water. There are built-in purification systems up there, water treatment plant built in there. There's a lot of stuff in there that makes it really environmentally and ecologically safe, I guess would be the word I'm looking for.
Now, if you're outside and you're looking at the door to the Summit House, to the right, 20 feet away, there's these 2 pod-looking things, and they had little door handles with a keypad. And on it, it said it was a bike lock, but it looked like it was way too small to put a bike inside of it, and I couldn't figure out what that was. I wasn't sure if that was some kind of like emergency shelter for someone to slip in and close the door. Or...
I've heard that there's some kind of emergency shelter up there. That may have been it.
Okay.
I don't know that for a fact. I've heard that they were trying, because people get up there after hours. It's been a topic. I've heard that there's some type of emergency shelter up there. That could very well have been what you saw.
Yeah, because the doors were locked with a keypad on them, so I'm not sure if you called the park ranger to get the code or
more than likely, yeah. You call and say, "Hey, I'm stuck up here. We'll punch this number in and go hide." Probably what that's all about. Well, cool. I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad your grandma liked it too. I bet she really enjoyed the heck out of it.
She has so much fun.
Awesome. A quick thing. My column last week at The Independent was about a sign I saw at a trail on the other side of Pikes Peak, the west side, that made it sound like there was a fee involved if you needed a rescue. And it turns out it's just bad wording on the sign. My concern, of course, is that I don't want, a concern of mine and search and rescue all through the state is that people may delay calling for search and rescue because they're worried about having to pay for it. You don't have to pay for it. The sign's badly worded. We go through all of it in the column. I was told today that, and I mentioned in the column, there was other signs like at the Bar Trailhead and the Crags Trailhead, that at least the one at the Bar Trailhead was worded differently. Not because of my column. I'm sure they didn't just rewrite it just in the last couple of days. But apparently that one does have some different wording that more clearly clarifies what you might have to pay for. My issue is including the word rescue. Go to my column at the Indy from last week, and you can find that from clicking on the link on my website, that there was some concern over, but apparently there's some of the signs have been worded. I honestly think the one I saw, nobody knew that they had posted up there, and they just never changed it.
Oh, okay.
I think. But it's still there. It's still going to confuse people. I stand by what I wrote, but apparently this one sign, and maybe another one at the Crags, has been changed to reflect a different wording as to who and what and under what circumstances you might have to pay, but it's certainly not for a rescue operation. And people should buy a Colorado search and rescue card or get a hunting or fishing license, which automatically adds a small fee to go to those funds. So that is available there. There was some stuff in the news about a couple who were hiking in a park up in Jefferson County that were held up at gunpoint, kidnapped till somebody saw it, called the police intervention. The guy doing it almost got shot. Actually got shot at by the police, just missed. And then he got tased. And that created a lot of consternation. Of course, the local news outlet here that seems to sensationalize everything.
Oh, yeah.
Did not fail me, and they sensationalized the heck out of it. So let me start off by a couple things. The person who did this was arrested. The person who did this, apparently, judging from what I've read about him, has some issues that need to be dealt with. The person who did this, who's in police custody, needs a long jail sentence, as far as I'm concerned. However, the one thing I do want to also emphasize is this was not a random occurrence. The person who did this knew at least one of the people who he kidnapped. There was some pre-existing stuff there. I'm not casting any blame on anybody. Well, I guess I should say, regardless of what happened, it's this guy's fault who did it.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody else does to you. You don't hold them at gunpoint and then wrap a rope around their neck and drag them off with you. But this was not a random occurrence. It was like most violent crimes. I think the number's in the 90%.
Oh, yeah.
Occur between people who actually know each other. They have some existing relationship. So while I think everybody should be very careful of their surroundings, we always talk about how we can be safe, be aware of your surroundings, tell people where you're going, all these things. Certainly do that. I would not necessarily let this raise my concern because it's not random. And the person's been caught. So, and you may recall last year we had a couple of people from Colorado Springs Police Department, the public information officers, on the podcast, and
I forgot about that. Yeah,
they were not public information; they were crime prevention, I believe is what they were, and they talked about crime in the parks. And in actuality, violent crime in parks is very uncommon. Not that it doesn't happen; anything happens, but it's very uncommon. And most crimes in parks are property related. People breaking into cars and things like that. Those people are scum too. So let's just keep that in mind. Yes, this happened. Yes, it's very serious crime. Yes, this person deserves a lot of jail time. I don't know how he didn't get killed. He was lucky the cop didn't shoot him. And it happened because when he shot at him, he pulled something out of his waistband, looked like a gun, turned out to be a taser. He ended up getting tased, but he ended up getting shot at first. He's very lucky to be alive. But let's not forget, this was not a random event. There was some pre-existing issues going on which necessitated this happening. Which spurred this on to happen.
And it's the same thing as if there's a bear attack or a mountain lion attack. Those are very, very, very rare. But the news is going to take that and be like, oh no, like there's this epidemic of bear attacks and such. And it's like, nope, it's fine.
An epidemic of one.
Yeah.
No, you're exactly right. So, well, again, I don't want to take anything away from this. We should all be crime aware. There's vehicle burglaries that seem to be a regular thing at all the trailheads. Don't leave your stuff on the front of your seat of your car where somebody can see it, wants to smash and grab. Same thing when you're out there hiking. Keep your head on a swivel. Keep aware of your surroundings. Recognize that 99.9% of the people you're going to see out there are just like you. They're just out having a good time. Don't want to cause you harm. There's always that tiny percentage that does. Be aware of that. Keep your eyes open. Know who to call if something happens, and but don't let this stop you from enjoying yourself.
Yeah.
I'm heading out on a trip, and people who subscribe to my newsletter, so I had a little note in there. Kevin, we've been doing these podcasts for just about 5 years. I think we're coming up on, in a week or so, the actual 5-year mark. Well over 300 episodes. We have not missed a week. There's been a new podcast every week for 300 plus weeks. That may start to come to an end, and I'll just explain this real briefly. This is a lot of work putting together a podcast. It's a lot of work writing a newspaper column, and it's a lot of work that sometimes prevents me from doing other things I'd like to do. So I will start off by saying the goal is that there will be a new podcast or a new column in the Indy every week. That's still the goal. I think we're going to do that 99% of the time. But there may occasionally be, if I'm going to be taking a vacation, I'm going to be away, that there may just be a week where there's just not going to be one. Because it's getting a little tiring, and I find out there's a lot of things I want to do that don't get done because I have a column or a podcast to do that week. So I just want people to be aware that there may occasionally be a time where we're not going to do a podcast. They'll be rare, not going to be very often, but there's going to be some times like that.
But what Bob forgot to mention is that there's a new tier on the Patreon that if you pledge to give $1 million a month to us, we'll do 2 podcasts a week.
You know, I don't know that Kevin's entirely telling the truth, but if a check for $1 million shows up in my in my bank account, I will seriously consider that. Or I'll make Kevin do it.
and then we'll reward you by taking you to Six Flags on us.
That's definitely not going to happen. I'm just glad you didn't say Disneyland. That's not going to happen either. No. We'll take you on an easy 1-mile hike and garner the gods for $1 million. Probably
Sounds
not
good.
that either. In any case, just be aware that if a Wednesday comes by and a podcast doesn't download, I may have taken the week off. Like I said, it's going to be very rare. The goal is still to try to do some in advance. But I found that sometimes it turns out that there's things I have on my bucket list of things to do that don't happen, and sometimes because I got to get a podcast recorded, I got a newspaper column written. That's nobody's fault but mine. I pick how busy I want to be. It's, so I'm not expecting any sympathy. I get it. It's my fault I'm this busy. I have a hard time saying no when people ask me for something. But just recognize that may happen. Kevin, I got a couple of really cool things. We got a nice comment that was sent to us about our podcast last week about the Trust for Public Lands. Thank you for that. I think people, they may have gotten tired of hearing about it because we talked about it over 3 podcasts, but I think the last one, we got to the nuts and bolts of it and what it actually means, and I think that helped clarify things, which was the note you and I got. Also got an email from a listener, a very sweet email. They liked the one comment in the email was, some of the best stuff is the stuff we say right before I say, do not send me an email about that. So I appreciate that. And the person who emailed us had some questions about a trail and where it went and some stuff like that. Fortunately, I had been on that trail a number of times. I was able to get an answer. I answer all the emails I get. So everybody who sends me a question will get an answer. If I can help them, I will. If I can't, I will not just say I can't help you. I will try to do my best to find a resource that you can rely on or that you can go to for answers to your question. So we appreciate the people reaching out to us. We appreciate the questions. Suggestions are always welcome for people to be on the podcast or topics to discuss, but really, really appreciated the comments we got over the last week. It's very nice to get those and hear from people. Sometimes when you wonder, you go, is this on? As it turns out, it is.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we had a good time with that. Kevin, we didn't have a whole lot of stuff on the topic list today. I've been just getting ready for this trip, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So the first week we may not have a podcast, maybe next week.
Oh yeah.
But I will tell you, I'm bringing my recorder with me, and I'll say this: I've been planning this trip for a while, and I haven't been back to the East Coast in about 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
often when I would go back there, I'd spend time with family, and I wouldn't really plan to do anything. And that ended up being okay. I mean, I got to spend time with my mom and family and stuff like that, see friends I haven't seen in a long time. This time I planned on some stuff I wanted to do. And New Jersey doesn't have much in the way of federal national forest, but it has a lot of state forest. Especially there's one part of the state just north of where I live, this big chunk of land, I don't know how many millions of acres, I guess. It's just state forest land. I was going to go hiking there. There's this really cool trail there. As of yesterday, the day after, well, we're recording this on Monday, so as of Sunday, that forest is now on fire.
Of course.
So it is burning. And in the edge of this forest is an old pre-Revolutionary War village that is a state park. The original buildings are still there. They've been restored, but there's still the original building. This was this nice little village on a river, so it had commerce coming through there. They tapped off of the river and had a wheel that spun. That was a mill, and it's just a beautiful place. I was going to go there, take pictures of it. The fire is surrounding this village. They're doing some pretty serious structure protection around this village so it doesn't get lost.
Oh, good.
But it's all closed. Everything, you can't get within miles of there right now. The entire area is closed. So, of course, here's when I finally, I've probably been 10 or 15 years since I'd been there, if not longer, in this village. I used to go there when I was younger and lived out there. And I was getting ready to go take pictures of it and do all this kind of stuff, and now that may not happen.
It's such a bummer.
It is. But you know what is thing. So what do we always talk about? Have a plan B. My plan B is just go other places. But I had my heart set on taking some pictures there. I don't know really how close this fire is to this village. It may not be as close as it sounds in the news. Not very detailed. So I may be able to go there the end of the week when the fire's already more than 50% contained last I saw.
Good.
Winds are going to die down. They should get this knocked down pretty quickly. I may be able to get back in this village by this weekend, and maybe it looks just fine. But it's always concerning, and damn it, I was just getting ready to go hiking in there, and now it's on fire.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah, well, we've been lucky here in Colorado. We haven't had a lot of serious fires.
Knock on wood, yeah.
Yeah, we're both knocking on wood here. Cole, that wasn't somebody at the door. Oh, hush. Sorry, folks. We knocked, and he hears a knock, and he thinks it's okay, Cole, calm down. Sorry about that, folks. After I did that, I saw him pop up. I'm like, oh, that's not going to go well. So anyway, please be careful out there. One last thing, too, talking about weather. Yellowstone National Park over the last 10 days has been flooded.
It's ravaged. Yeah.
Ravaged, especially the north part of the park has been really hit hard. Basically, the Montana side, south of Bozeman, that side, there was that big arch entranceway, that area in there around the Mammoth Hot Spring, really been hit hard. Billions of dollars worth of damage. The good news is they announced today that the southern loop of the park, what they call the southern loop, I guess you come in there. Kevin, you've been on the southern part. I've only been north.
Yeah.
I guess you come in through Jackson?
Yeah.
Okay. That part is going to open in probably by the time this podcast airs. And they're going to do it on an odd, even thing. So odd number license plates go in on odd days, even number license plates on even days. As far as the north side of the park, I don't think anybody has a clue when it's going to open. I'm sure they're trying to figure out how much damage there is. Apparently, it's significant damage, roads and bridges. And
Oh, I've seen the photos and videos. It's really bad.
It ain't pretty, folks. It is not pretty. It's kind of a mess. So if you're headed up to Yellowstone, this should be no news to you if you've been paying attention to the news, but just a reminder, check ahead. You may not be able to go this year. I don't think they're going to get anything done this year.
Oh, no.
I can't see how. This is the federal government, folks. It is not known for speed. It is known for taking its time getting stuff done, which is probably still going to happen out there. So be aware of that. And, of course, we can also have flash floods here. So if you're hiking around here in some of our canyons, if you're going to Utah and hiking in some of the slot canyons,
Yep.
Be very, very aware of the weather. You can get a flash flood for a storm you don't even know is happening tens of miles, 20 miles away that you don't even know is happening. So just be aware of the weather. Watch the forecast. Have an escape plan. Have a plan B if the place you want to go to is closed or busy or whatever. Just have some options available to you. It's real important.
Yeah, I remember a few years back in Arizona, there's a popular watering hole that families would go to play in the water. And I guess there was a storm several miles away, and it flooded that creek. and all the water just came rushing out of nowhere. And I know a few folks died in that.
That's the one that had the video, and this wall of black water with all the mud. And the scary part about that, not just that it's water you can drown. There are logs in there. There are trees in there. There are boulders in there. So you may think it's just water. You're going to get hit by something that's going to knock you flat or kill you or something like that. So be aware of these things. Watch the weather forecast. If there's a storm, coming from the direction of a canyon you're in, for example, you may want to be really, really careful and maybe reconsider when you expect to be out of there, and just be careful. Again, this all goes back to water safety and stuff like that.
Yeah.
No brownie points for getting killed on anything. Just doesn't need to happen.
So make sure you wear your life vest on all of your hikes.
I'm going to say that's probably overkill. I will say know how to get out of a canyon. Can you climb out of a wall? And if you're in a place where you can't, can you get out of there? You can't outrun these things. So just be aware that they're out there. I'm not trying to scare anybody. 99.999% of people go out there, have a good time, don't get injured, don't get lost, don't get drowned, nothing untoward happens to them. The vast majority of times you go out there, you're going to be just fine. But it just takes one time for something bad to happen, you not be aware, and something bad could happen to you. So keep an eye out for that. Kevin, did you have anything else you wanted to talk about today?
Nope, just going to spend the next few days getting my car ready for my Mount Whitney trip, and clean my apartment because I love to come back from a vacation with a sparkling clean place. And so right now just waiting until I leave on Friday morning.
I was going to say you're leaving this week, so 24th. So Kevin's leaving on the 24th for Mount Whitney, and we'll wish him well on that trip with his friends. And can't wait. Are you going to be posting? Well, you probably don't have any cell service when you're up there, but are you going to be posting stuff? As you go along on the trip and everything? Yeah,
because especially after Whitney, I'm going to make a bunch of stops on the way back because I'm actually take next week off too. And we're closed at work on July 4th, so I'm going to have 11 days off.
Nice.
So I am taking huge advantage of that.
Nice. That's good. Can't wait to see it. If you were looking for Kevin's social media, you go to your website. You have links to everything there.
Yep.
So go to wildwestendorf.com. Check out his links and his updates on that. I'm super stoked to see what this is like. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think you have a blast out there. And fingers crossed for good weather and nothing untoward happens. And if you want to check anything else, I'm doing hikingbob.com. Kevin's at wildwestendorf.com. I'm not doing anything exciting. I'm going to New Jersey. Mosquitoes, humidities, and flies that bite. What could possibly go wrong? Now, well, I guess fires.
Yeah.
It could go wrong. So that's what's happening there. Whether we have a podcast next week is to be determined, like they like to say. I may squeeze one in. We do have some really good guests lined up that we'll be recording podcasts for in July. So we're going to have some really good, cool guests coming up soon. So never fear, if we skip a week, it's going to be a rarity. But it may happen as soon as next week. So we'll see what happens. Kevin, if there's nothing else, I think we'll say goodbye to everybody.
We'll talk to you later.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Outdoors Hiking Bob podcast. We'll talk to you next time.
Before you go, did you know you can rate and review our Studio 809 podcasts? That will help us because our egos really need to have thousands and thousands of listeners. But that helps our wonderful sponsors reach more ears too. And we do love our sponsors. So just go to Studio 809 or any individual 809 podcast in your iTunes or podcast app and click on ratings and reviews. Thanks.